Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege.
Welcome to the TCMMA podcast. It's your boy Chris Cross. We are live for UFC Vegas 92, Barboza versus Murphy. Right now you got Themba Gorimbo in the octagon, and he looks like he's ready to go. And this is a highly intriguing fight. Remember, Themba Gorimbo is a guy that The Rock bought a house for, set him up nicely, and he's just getting better and better ever since. So we'll be talking about that throughout this fight, as long as it lasts. Hopefully it doesn't last long. So let's set it up once again. UFC Vegas 92, Themba Gorimbo versus Ramiz Brahimov. And every time you see him since The Rock got him a house, he doesn't have to worry about the money anymore. He looks much bigger right now too. I mean, this guy looks more filled out. He's starting to look like a big time fighter, but you know, every fight he's going to face better and better competition. And this fight's obviously underway. He's just trying to feel out Ramiz Brahimov, who shoots in for the takedown. Gorimbo gets low, digs the underhooks, nice takedown defense, and walks him back. Now Ramiz driving some knees. Themba blocks it, drives one of his own. And there's a little battle going on here against the fence. Ramiz spins Gorimbo around. And this is a thing you're going to see throughout this fight. It's going to be interesting as he pulls Gorimbo down, but Gorimbo ends up on top. Is that Ramiz Brahimov is shorter than Gorimbo. You know, he's going to shoot in for a lot of takedowns and look to gain control. But in this situation, it's actually Themba Gorimbo who gains control. Ramiz got the guard in, and Themba's just working his way back to the fence. As now he'll drive Brahimov and his back into the fence. Brahimov looks to stand up, and he does. And what I want to see is Gorimbo get off the fence, forget the control time right now, and just let him go and let's strike. Let's see what you got. And Gorimbo looking to pick him up and take him down. It didn't work. And Themba's got to answer some questions here. You know, as he continues to win, again, he's going to face better and better competition. That's what Ramiz Brahimov brings to the table. And he's got to show that he can win these fights. And not only win them, but win some like this in dramatic fashion with a big finish. 240 left in round one. And we haven't had much striking at all. This is just basically both guys spinning each other along the fence. And now Themba spins him. So guys are just really fighting for control, position along the fence. Not a lot of striking. It's all coming from clinch control. And there's a big knee by Themba. And again, Ramiz gets the takedown with the leg, but Themba winds up on top because he maintains a good position up top. And it's amazing because Themba Gorimbo looks, you know, 5 or 10 pounds bigger than he did before. And that just shows that he's building muscle. He's filling out and still able to drop down to 170 pounds. He's probably more like a middleweight, 180, 185, dropping down to 170 and back to 185 come fight time. So he's just looking stronger. And that looked like a low blow there with the knee. Got to be careful as he works the legs. And Ramiz digging the underhooks here. And it's amazing as you go up in these divisions. You see this more in the welterweight, right? And in the lightweight division, there's not going to be a whole lot of clinch control up against the fence. You'll see some, but you're either going to see takedowns or striking. Like the fights either going to the ground or they're going to stand up and strike. You see a lot more control up against the fence in the welterweight division because you're dealing with bigger guys, a little slower, who are going to lean on each other. And that's pretty much what's happening right now. Demba's definitely taller too, so he's got to constantly lean down and get low. Especially right now when he's pinned up against the fence and he walks Ramiz right back around, and now Ramiz flips him. So we're just seeing the same thing. Not a lot of action in this first round. And if these two guys split the next two rounds, who the heck knows who would win this fight? Because round one has been very slow paced so far. But Garimbo's way ahead in significant strikes, 10-0. 2 head strikes, 8 body strikes, 322 of control. And Ramiz has been held to no significant strikes. That's incredible. You don't see that too often. So at the end of round one, if you're Ramiz's corner, you got to be telling him, forget the takedowns right now. Because both times you went for the takedown, Garimbo ended up on top and you lost 2 minutes of the fight. Right? When you guys are pinned up against the fence, all that's happening is the clock is running. And Ramiz is losing the fight because of that. And if you're Themba's corner, you're saying, hey, good first round. Let's kind of see what happens in round 2. You get a little gimme in round 2. But at the same time, he's got to get something done. I mean, he's got to show some more. I mean, nobody's going to be happy with him grinding out a win like this. All it's going to do is force him to face another Ramiz Brahimaj or a guy on his level, if you understand what I'm saying. He's not going to move up the ladder with just close decision victories. And here we go with round 2. And a nice up kick there for Themba to start it, followed by a leg strike. And that's what we want to see. We want to see Themba strike a little bit, but it's not happening. He's going to drive Ramiz back into the fence once again. And I guess they're just trying to make it hard on me to describe this fight today. Because when two guys are leaning on each other, there's not much to describe. First 30 seconds gone. Looks a lot like round 1. And the only thing I can say for Themba's side is that he's totally limiting Ramiz, who cannot land significant strikes when you got a guy leaning on your chest and your back is against the fence. I mean, you're just not going to land many significant strikes. So you can look at it like Themba's really protected himself, playing defense, and scoring just enough to get round 1. And the Apex Center is quiet right now. You don't see a lot of people in there for this one. Of course, there's still people there, and they talked about this throughout the week. This will be one of the topics we'll get into during the break. Is that Dana White saying they're getting out of the Apex, right? It's time to travel. It's time to get in the big arenas. You saw it last week with St. Louis. You got Louisville coming up. And it's just more exciting when you have the fans in attendance. No doubt about it. And all that's happening now is just Themba's just controlling the heck out of this fight and just not giving Ramiz any room to breathe. I mean, he's constantly on him, Fight goes to the ground. They stand back up. Dembo walks him to the fence. Once in a while, Ramiz will flip it. Dembo can flip it right back. And hard to describe, but basically Ramiz can't do anything. I mean, he has one significant strike right now. It's 19-1 and 57-16 overall total strikes. And you're seeing the big separation between total strikes and significant because there's a lot of clinch. Some of these strikes, the knees, the elbows, or whatever, are not significant. Now the ref telling him, Mark Smith don't play. He's getting in there telling him, you got to pick it up. And Garimbo moves all the way to a 21-1 favorite right now. And that's basically because people were watching this fight and saying, doesn't look like there's going to be a KO or submission or finish, but Ramiz has very little chance to win this fight at the rate that it's going. Dembo continues to drive the knee. He's looking at the clock now and gives up a little bit of position while he did that. Now he's got his back against the fence. Again, Ramiz looking to take him down, but it hasn't gone well for him even when he has. Oh, and now Ramiz takes the back. And this is all stemming from him peeking up at the clock. He's going to learn his lesson here. But he is flipping it back around. Now he's going to be in top position. And he recovers well. Now he's got top position over Ramiz. And great ground game by Themba. This is something that will pay off as he climbs the ladder. A different style than Colby Covington, but much like Colby Covington in some fights that he wins and fights guys below him in the rankings, and he just controls the heck out of the fight. Just controls the heck out of the fight and doesn't give you any room to breathe. You can't stand and strike. He's going to have his head on your hip or in your chest the entire fight. I mean, Garimbo's got 6:15 of control time as we approach the end of the second round, 10 minutes. So 2/3 of this fight, Garimbo's been in control. Ooh, a big elbow there by Garimbo, and that's what I'm talking about. God, I would love to see him get the finish. But I don't think it's worth it for him to really go for it now. Look, he's trying to take the back. He does. Looking to get the rear locked in, but there's only 20 seconds left, and Ramiz is playing good enough defense. With Themba just dominating. He's going to hold this position and be right at 7 minutes of control time. That's 70% of the fight so far on 3 takedowns. Ramiz has had 1 on 2 minutes. So you got 9 minutes of control time out of 10 minutes. So there's not a lot of striking here. But Themba leads 27-1 in significant strikes. 67-16 in total strikes. He's easily up 2-0 right now. 2-0. Easy. And that just means you're going to get more of what you saw in the first 2 rounds, right? Because now his corner's looking at it like, hey, you're up 2-0. Keep doing what you're doing. People may not like it. It may not be exciting. But at the end of the day, you got to win, and that's what's most important. So stay tuned. You got Chaos Williams coming up. That's a big fight as he takes on Carlston Harris. We're going to give you that prediction during the break, as well as some other hot topics this week, like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. A lot of people weighing in on that topic. Dana White telling us that they're getting out of the Apex and are traveling, some other topics, and then we'll finish that up with the prediction before we return. And when we return, it's fight time. That's how it works. Themba opening up a little bit here in the first 10 seconds, but I look for him to go right back in, and here he does right away. Drives Ramiz back into the fence within 15 seconds. And it's not exciting, you know? I mean, Themba's got a big enough name because The Rock got him a house. So he's trending. People are looking him up. They want to know more about him, you know? But he's not winning in an exciting way. But if this continues, there's no reason to believe it won't unless something crazy happens, he's just going to grind out a victory here. And it's just crazy. I mean, he's just pulling away insignificant strikes, 38-1. I mean, it's unreal. Just continues to dominate, maintaining control. Nearly 8 minutes of control time. That's easily over half the fight. But now Ramiz flips him. And you got Garimbo taking a deep breath. He's looking at the clock. Mark Smith jumping in again, saying, let's go. Y'all got to fight. And they just continue to spin each other around. It's like a dance, you know? Garimbo drives a left knee, now a right knee to the body. And Ramiz just in all types of trouble here. He's got to be drained. Garimbo every now and then driving another knee. And how many body strikes is that? 33-1. It's crazy. It doesn't look like much is happening until you look at the stats. 104-17 for Garimbo. Dominant fashion. 43-1 significant strikes. Head strikes just 6-0. So you're not seeing a lot of that. Body strikes 35-1. And if Ramiz Brahimaj was able to get loose and land head strikes, sometimes that'll pay off for you despite the control time that you give up. But when you got one significant strike and it's not even a head strike, there's no way you're winning this fight. And Themba's just cruising to victory right now, just running out the clock. $97-15 in clinch strikes. Woo-wee. Under a minute here, round 3. And just a dominant performance here for Garimbo. But eventually he's going to face guys that have good takedown defense, who can get you off of him, and he's going to have to show that he can stand and strike. But right now against these weaker opponents, he's just showing that I can just take a guy completely apart and just take him out of the fight. And again, Colby has done this. Other guys have done this in the welterweight division. Might not be as exciting right now for Garimbo, but when you look at the stats of Ramiz, it's just ridiculous. I mean, he's got nothing. Absolutely nothing. And they're describing this as a strong showing. Yeah, you can't say it isn't. It's not the excitement that people want to see. But as this clock runs out to end the fight, Themba Garimbo absolutely dominated. 30-27. As he looks at the matchmakers, you give him a thumbs up, but they all know it wasn't exciting. Bottom line is, he already has the big name, so that's not going to hurt him. The guy's 13-4, and he's looking better and better. He's looking more like a professional MMA fighter should look over the last 2 to 3 fights. So he's going to get the win here. Welterweight division, dominant fashion at UFC Vegas 92. All right, so we march on. Next up, got 2 fights left. Chaos Williams versus Carlston Harris. It's basically a 50-50 toss-up. And then you got Edson Barboza versus Lerone Murphy, who's undefeated, right? 13-0-1. So stay tuned for that. Those are coming up. This is your boy Chris Cross. We'll be right back after this quick break.
You're watching the TCMMA podcast.
Now, I've been telling you, against the advice of all of you, that Jake Paul is going to beat Mike Tyson. And oddly enough, he still remains a slight favorite. Why is this thing down from like 180 to 135, 140, 150, whatever it may be? Because of the rules. One of the reasons I think Mike Tyson loses is because he gets tired later in the fight, right? So you have to first assume that Jake Paul is going to get through the first 2 or 3 rounds. Then by round 4, Mike Tyson really starts to look tired. By round 7 and 8, he's gassed, completely gassed. He's 58 years old. But they have leveled the playing field, right? As we all know. 2-minute rounds, 8 rounds. That's 16 minutes. That's a regular 5-round fight. If they were 3 minutes, you'd see a big drop-off in round 4 and 5 by Mike Tyson. But where they're 2 minutes and you get to rest quicker, instead of waiting 3 minutes, you rest after 2. Mike Tyson's going to be pretty fresh throughout this fight. I mean, these rounds are going to be quick, man. Boom, boom, boom. Mike Tyson's going to be able to rest. He'll get into round 5 and 6, if it goes that far, and start saying, oh my gosh, there's only like 7 or 8 minutes left in his fight, and he'll be fine. And therefore, the odds are coming down. And in fact, in my head, I'm like, is Jake Paul really going to win in this situation? If it's an 8-round fight for 3 minutes, Jake Paul wins, in my book, pretty darn easily, as long as he doesn't get KO'd in the first or second. And I put that disclaimer out there because it's possible. I mean, Mike Tyson can KO anyone on the planet, including the heavyweight champ right now, in the first round or 2. But if you get past that, you have a strong chance to win. But the game has changed now. The game has changed based on the rules. And to me, anything can happen in this fight. And I don't see Mike Tyson getting as tired, but I still think Jake Paul is going to pull this thing out. I just do. I just think Jake Paul is going to pull this thing out. And it won't even be close, because if it goes to a decision, Jake Paul is winning. It's still, the big question remains, can Mike Tyson KO Jake Paul? And I think all the way up through, instead of saying round 1, 2, and maybe 3, you got to say now rounds 1 through 5, which is basically 3 rounds, 10 minutes. Mike Tyson has the ability to KO Jake Paul. That lasts now longer into the fight, and that's more scary. But I think Jake Paul outboxes him. He's going to touch Tyson more. Tyson's going to try to get inside, land the big punches, then tie up. And as time goes on, every second, the percentage of Jake Paul, at the beginning of the fight, it's like Jake Paul has a 10% chance to win. After the first minute, it's up to 25%. After round 2, it's up to 40%. After rounds 3 and 4, it's 60%. After round 5, it's like 80%, right? But when that bell dings at the beginning of the fight, it's like, okay, Jake Paul has like 2% chance to win this fight. Because Mike Tyson can KO anybody on the planet if he catches him. I don't care if he's 58 or 108. That's just the way it goes. But I still like Jake Paul to barely win. I agree with the odds coming way down. It's getting closer and closer to 50-50. And quite frankly, as we get closer to the fight, it's going to continue heading in that direction. That's just what I believe. Setback will force Dana White to hand Robert Whittaker a title shot. Now, it's very hard for me to entertain the fact that Hamza could lose a fight, right? It's hard for me to entertain that. But just for a second, if Robert Whittaker does beat Hamza, I don't care what anyone says, he deserves a title shot. Now, they'll downplay it and say, oh, Hamza wasn't that good. He was overrated. He was all hype. He didn't look good in his last 2 fights before the fight you beat him in. And that's the way it will go, and they'll make him fight a Sean Strickland or someone like that. But the reality is, right now, facing an undefeated opponent who many believe, including myself, that will be a former champ, if you stop that hype train, then yes, you should get a title shot. That's not the way it will turn out, but you should. Meanwhile, you got Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa fighting. If Paulo Costa can somehow beat Sean Strickland, that will just part the ways for both Hamza or Robert Whittaker, whoever wins that fight, which will happen first, right? Or actually, no, Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa are fighting at UFC 302. So that's actually going to happen first before Hamza. But nonetheless, once that fight ends, it'll give us a better idea of, Hamza and Robert Whittaker, what will happen here. Now, if Sean Strickland wins, and it really doesn't matter which fight is before the other, but Sean Strickland will fight first. But let's say Sean Strickland wins and Hamza wins. They got to fight each other. Even though Sean Strickland will be sitting back waiting on Duplessis to fight and then calling for a rematch immediately, regardless of who wins, right? Because if Adesanya wins, he beat Adesanya. If Duplessis wins, he can say, hey, that was a very close fight that some people argue that I won. So, that Hamza gets put on the back burner. So if you're a Hamza fan like myself, you almost got to be rooting for Paulo Costa, which really stinks. Because I like Sean Strickland. And quite frankly, I don't see Paulo Costa winning that fight. But there's a lot on the line here by the time Hamza and Robert Whittaker throw down. But you know me. I got Hamza winning this fight. I think he's tired of hearing, hey, you struggled in the last 2 fights, right? You had to go down and wait to fight Burns. You didn't look great, but won. Epic 3rd round that could have gone either way, to be completely honest with you. Then you get Kamaru Usman, a fighter that you did not expect to fight, right? You expect a striker in Paulo Costa who's got to pull out, and now you got to face Kamaru Usman who can go to the ground. And what does Hamza do? He takes him down and controls him for the whole first round. In my opinion, these weren't bad fights. These were good fights. And, before these fights were scheduled, everybody was saying, no, he hasn't fought anyone yet. He fought Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. And even after those wins, everyone's finding all the negative about it. I look at it and say, hey, he needed some of those fights to humble himself, to force him to go back into training and take it really serious. Not that he doesn't already, but in his mind now knows, one of these guys can catch me if I don't go in there ready to go. And therefore, Hamza is going to be better than ever in his next fight, which happens to be Robert Whittaker, the Reaper. He's no joke. Capable of beating Hamza, let's be real, capable of beating anyone on the planet on any given day. And Hamza's got to go in there and flatten him. That's the bottom line. Gilbert Burns responds to Joaquin Buckley call out after UFC Fight Night St. Louis win. Burns saying, let's do it. The way I see it, I'm not in a situation to call anyone out or to pick and choose. I don't know if they send me the fight, but if they do, I'll say yes. And that's Gilbert Burns style. And these guys, I had a lot to say about Usman, Gilbert Burns. I'm not the biggest fan, but I recognize he's a great fighter. But when these guys fight Hamza and step into the octagon against them, even Robert Whittaker now, I'm a fan for life. Because there's not a lot of guys willing to do it. There's a lot of guys willing to do this, to talk, but not a lot of guys willing to step in there against Hamza. And Gilbert Burns did and looked darn good in that fight. And he certainly has my respect, and hopefully he has yours. But him in that situation against Joaquin Buckley would be awesome to see, and a big opportunity for Buckley. One he probably doesn't win, but hey, you never know. Dana White says UFC card at the Sphere will be one and done. Nobody will ever be able to pull this off again. And it's highly likely. I mean, the UFC, according to Dana White, is spending so much money on this event. And it's just built differently, right? It's not like the standard arena, right? It's a Sphere. So you got video all around the place. I mean, so when it's just even from the fighter's perspective, I mean, how's that going to be? It's like they look up and are you going to see just one big video of the whole place? Are you going to be able to be on your back and look up and see yourself on the back straight above you? It's going to be on all sides of you. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how this thing transpires. It's going to be a big deal. I'm sure Joe Rogan and the commentators will be talking about it throughout the night. And yeah, one and done. The UFC's got to be the first to do it and the biggest to do it. And then you leave it alone after that. And he also has went on to say that they're going to be getting out of the Apex, right? We got UFC Vegas 92 on deck this Saturday night. And you think about that, in 4 years we're at the 92nd edition of the Apex Center with limited fans. And people are getting past the point where they want to see this stuff. Of course, we're still going to tune in and watch the fights, but it's eerily quiet compared to other events. And it's about that time where, 4 years, not past this thing, maybe 2.5 years past the pandemic, but now it's time to move on and start getting into more crowds. And they've slowly done that, But now it's time to make the leap and go full time once again. It's just been too convenient to sit at the Apex Center. But people, and I know when I watch, I want to see the crowd. The crowd gets me energized. The crowd is loud. Every time there's a big punch or takedown, you hear the place roaring. Cameras are shaking, etc. And that's what we want. We want to feel intertwined with the crowd, who gives us the energy from inside to love the sport, just like any other sport. Just like when a football player scores a touchdown. Can you imagine scoring a touchdown with no fans? Not the same. So that's the direction the UFC is going to go. Next up, you got Chaos Williams versus Carlston Harris. Another week of we're hurt last week with taking fighters we like, and a lot of them going down last week at UFC St. Louis. Well, this is the case here with Chaos Williams and Carlston Harris. Will I learn my lesson or not? Let's get into it right now. In the co-main event, welterweight division at UFC Vegas 92, you got Chaos Williams coming in at 14-3, taking on Carlston Harris, who's 19-5, looking for his 20th professional win. Both guys 6 feet tall. Chaos right in the prime at 30 years old. He's getting better every time. Harris, he's 36, so he's out of the prime and getting older, but a lot of experience. Chaos, 1-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Chaos much more active on the feet, 5.8 significant strikes per minute to 3 per minute for Harris. So that's an advantage for Chaos, but he's got to be able to defend the takedowns because Harris can land like 2 every 3 rounds. So look for him to get 2 or 3 in this fight. Chaos won a split decision in his last fight against Rolando Bedoya. Before that, he lost to Rude Boy Randy Brown by split decision. That's not a bad loss, right? Because Randy Brown's pretty good. Chaos, before that, won 2 in a row against Miguel Beza, KO, and a decision over Matthew Semmelsberger, who's won 3 of the last 4. Harris, 55% takedown defense. Shouldn't matter here, but he's got wins over Jeremiah Wells by submission and Jared Gooden by decision. He did lose to Shavkat by first round KO, which you'd expect. Before that, he KO'd Impa Kasanganay and had a submission over Christian Aguilera. So he's very well-rounded. Very well-rounded. And this is a tough one because it's almost a 50-50 toss-up. I'm a big Chaos Williams fan. I think he's getting better every time. So regardless of what you saw in the last fight, he's going to be better in this fight. That's how it's going to go for the next 6 to 8 fights over the next 3 to 4 years before he slows down. So I look for him to be better. I'm banking on that. I like him to get the win here by decision, maybe KO. He's got to defend the takedowns, though. Look out for that. To move to 15-3 welterweight division. Co-main event, UFC Vegas 92. Nope, I didn't learn my lesson, obviously. I'm going with Chaos Williams because I like him, and I believe in him, and I know Carlston Harris is a really good fighter. So, yeah, that's the way we roll in this situation. Stick with the guys you like. They hurt us last week, but hopefully not this week. That's how you got to look at it.
You're watching the TCMMA podcast. And now, back to your host, Chris Cross.
What up? Welcome back. It's your boy, Chris Cross. This is the TCMMA podcast. We don't have to waste any time because these two fighters are getting ready to go at it. You got Chaos Williams versus Carlston Harris. And Chaos Williams is looking right at Carlston Harris. So let's get that pulled up. Here we go. All right, so Chaos Williams versus Carlston Harris at UFC Vegas 92. And these guys are not feeling each other out at all. Both guys swinging already. And, you know, Chaos is going to come in with some big punches. Carlston Harris is a guy that can submit you, though. You got to be really careful about leaving yourself out there and making yourself susceptible to takedowns. That's why we were talking about it in the prediction. Like, that's, you know, won't be surprised if Carlston Harris wins his fight because of the takedown ability. But Chaos Williams is my guy, man. He KOs people. He can go the distance if necessary. First minute gone. Not a lot of action thus far. Carlston Harris, you know, is doing a good job with the leg kicks. He's keeping Chaos back. He's trying to land the jabs. and really slow down Chaos, who obviously wants to come in and be aggressive. I mean, he's staring you down before the fight. He's not moving at all. He's looking right through you. And there's a little intimidation there. So Carlson Harris is doing the right thing. Ooh. Oh, big right. And that's it. The ref stops it. Chaos Williams, looking like he was about to be in trouble, flattens Carlson Harris with a big right. And yeah, when they show this again in full speed, the noise is going to be ridiculous, I'm sure, because it happened very quickly. Very quickly. Unbelievable. And Carlson Harris is looking up at the doctor. He's fine. I think it just surprised him, because he came in, boom, landed a left, came up with an overhand hammer right hand, and then boom, he just took the right from Chaos. Chaos goes down. Boom. Yeah. He just caught him and then landed another one. And the second one really finished it. I mean, the first one finished it, but boom. Yeah. Yeah, Carlson Harris is finished. And man, what a finish by Chaos Williams. This guy continues to impress. And see, Carlson just landed a big right, and within 1 second takes a right, and I just think he wasn't prepared for it at all. It was just a complete surprise. Complete surprise. But I'm not surprised, as we've run off 8 wins in a row now, because Chaos Williams is that dude. And I told you this whole week, once we get to the main card, forget about it. We're running through the whole main card. We just need Lerone Murphy to get the job done in the main event. We'll see. But Chaos Williams gets the win here. That's 8 in a row for us at UFC Vegas 92. So that's the way it goes down. Chaos Williams gets the win. And it didn't take long at all. So listen, another quick break, and we're coming back for the main event. We'll be right back after. Well, let me get it set up. I don't want to tell you all wrong. So in this next break, you're going to see some of the fights that went down, some of the reactions to the prelims, how we got here leading us up, and then you'll get the prediction for Edson Barboza and Lerone Murphy. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. All right, so first fight of the night headed to a decision. Demopoulos and Ducote both doing battle. It was Ducote who led 135 to 109 in significant strikes, but I'm not so sure how that's going to play round by round, because every round was pretty close. Even in the third, Ducote was pulling away in terms of what she's landing, but the power came from Demopoulos. So here we go. Going to be close. It's going to be split. Ducote gets the first judge. Demopoulos gets the second. Here we go. 29-28. Woo! Vanessa Demopoulos. So we're out to 0-1 start. Come on, man. Come on, man. Vanessa Demopoulos is going to get the win here. Move to 11-5. And virtually no control time. Head strikes 95 to 74. Ducote or Dakota. I call her Ducote, but it is what it is. She also led 135 to 109. So I'm not so sure how Demopoulos got the win. That's why it was so close. But Ducote with the better odds. That's the way it turns out. Vanessa Demopoulos gets the win here in the first fight of the night, women's strawweight division, UFC Vegas 92. So Halatang Ali and Cladison Rodriguez now headed to a decision. Second fight of the night, second decision of the night as we await, but Ali, 8 minutes of control time on 3 takedowns, that's ridiculous. Held Rodriguez to 32 significant strikes where he led 32 to 18. So sometimes leading into significant strikes will help you, but I just think Ali controlled him for way too long. Head strikes was close as well, 15 to 14, so that means even the extra strikes from Rodriguez were just body and leg strikes. So it's probably not going to go well for him. Here we go. 30-27. Unanimous. 29-27, 29-28. Unanimous decision win for Alatong Hai. So we're down 0-2, it looks like, to start the night. So a couple back-to-back rough weeks it's looking like right now. There you see Charles Oliveira do Bronx in the octagon for Rodriguez. His guy went down, though. Hai wins. He's going to move to 17-9 here. Bantamweight division. UFC Vegas, 92. Clock continues to tick down on Warley Alves, who's getting dominated here. Magomedov back on top, and he's pounding away with the right hand, now a right elbow. 45 seconds left in the fight. And he's been over at least 218 of control in all 3 rounds. So Warley Alves just getting worn down, having to take on the body weight of Abu Magomedov for nearly the whole fight. Magomedov's leading 38-13 in significant strikes. Warley Alves looking completely exhausted right now. So 11:45 of control on 6 takedowns for Abu. And look at Alves trying to get a submission attempt here at the end of the fight. It's not going to work, as we hear the tap, but he's really trying because he knows he's going to lose this fight. And Abu is sliding ahead through. He gets it through, and that'll be it. So Abu Magomedov silencing the critics a little bit, saying those saying that he gets more and more tired as the fight goes on. You know, that's against some really good competition, which Warley Alves can be considered worthy competition as well. He's 15-7 coming in, but he's going to drop to 15-8. Magomedov is going to move to 26-6 here with a dominant performance. Look at total strikes, 128-15 in this middleweight division fight at UFC Vegas 92. So round 3 underway. And Gato just absolutely dominated the first 2 rounds. Yeah, and right now Dean Thomas talking about bad corner advice from Vidal's corner, telling her to pick her spots. You know, she's getting dominated here. She needs to be aggressive, and she's not. And there she goes with a big right and left. So at least she knows she's got to be aggressive. And can it get it? Oh, we got a shot right to the stomach. And Vidal's thinking it's a low blow. And the ref is saying, no, that's it. And that was kind of a delayed reaction from Vidal, who's looking at the ref like, you know, it wasn't a legal strike, but it looks like it was. So we're going to have to see the replay here. But Vidal goes down in a hurry once she realized it hurt. So let's see the replay. Just on a jab. Wow, a jab to the chest. And she's asking for time. And Gato continues in. And the ref says stop. So it's, you know, she's looking at the ref putting her hand up. But Gato comes in and continues to strike. And it was kind of a weird sequence, but the ref stopped it. And, you know, Melissa Gatto's looking at it like, what do you mean stop it? And that's it. And Gatto's got a look on her face like she's afraid she's going to get DQ'd or something. But there was nothing wrong with that. It was just a jab to the chest. And just because Vidal didn't react to it the right way doesn't mean that she gets time. So this fight is over. Melissa Gatto gets the win here at UFC Vegas 92. And Umar Sy climbing up the back now. Looking to lock in the rear. He's got the body triangle locked in now. Oh. So what we're learning about Sy, I mean, the guy's 9-0. He's undefeated, right? He grapples like a lightweight, but he's at light heavyweight. That's going to be a problem for a lot of fighters. We got to see more in the strike game, but he's just taking this guy apart on the ground. Just a clinic here. And now Tokos yells something out to the ref, or maybe to his opponent. I don't know. Like, let's fight, something like that. But you got to be able to get out of these positions, and Tokos can. He's giving up the back again. Oh, look at this. This one's in tight. This one's in tight, and he taps, and that's it. So Umar Sy with an absolute grappling clinic in the light heavyweight division fight here. You usually don't see that. You usually don't see that in the light heavyweight division. Like that, one-sided. And that's what it was. So Umar Sy remains undefeated. Don't know much about this guy, but I'm fixing to find out. That's for sure. He's 10-0 now. Dominant win here. 330 of control on the ground. Only 13 seconds on the feet for Tokos. So he had no chance here. Light heavyweight division, UFC Vegas, 92. Tom Nolan on his back now, trying to sink in the armbar. And both of these guys look like they've been through 5 rounds, rolling in round 1. Tom Nolan looked like he's in trouble now. He's getting back to his feet, though. Ooh, takes a knee to the body on the way up, though. 120 left, round 1. Both guys on their feet. Ooh. And Martinez took something on the way in. He's done. That's it. Tom Nolan flips it and lets out a roar. But he flips it on Martinez quickly. It looked like he landed maybe a knee to the body. And then Martinez goes right down and covers up. First the stomach, and then covers up his head as Tom Nolan pounds away. So that's going to be it. Tom Nolan gets the win here in dramatic fashion at UFC Vegas 92. Okay, so here comes Martinez. Ooh. And earlier dropped Tom Nolan. But here comes Martinez coming in. Oh, knee right to the body big time. And that finished Victor Martinez, no question about it. And Tom Nolan gets another 4 good ones in there before he gets the victory again at UFC Vegas 92. Who I really like, taking on an undefeated Lerone Murphy. And we need to get this one right to move to 9-8. And it's a very tough pick. But luckily when we made the pick, we didn't know what was going to happen with Derek Lewis. So not as much pressure. Be much more fun to watch and not have to pick now and second guess myself. Here it is. In the featherweight division, your main event at UFC Vegas 92. It's going to be a banger. You got Edson Barboza, Brazilian, coming in at 24-11, taking on undefeated Lerone Murphy, who comes in at 13-0. Barboza, 2 inches taller at 5'11". He's 38 though. He's getting up there. Murphy's still in the prime at 32. Barboza, 1 inch reach advantage. No big deal there. They both stand right-handed. Now slight differences. Barboza slightly more active, 4.2 significant strikes per minute to 3.7 for Murphy. So that's going to be about 5 to 10 throughout the fight. So that's within a distance for Murphy to catch up. Murphy also lands like a takedown and a half, or a takedown every other round will be the best way to put it. Barboza can go to the ground too, but he only lands one like once every 6 rounds. And I think that's why Murphy is a slight favorite. Let's see if it holds up. Barboza, 75% takedown defense, so that gives him the advantage. Has back-to-back wins over Sadiq Youssef. That's a big one by unanimous decision. And he trailed in significant strikes in a wild fight. Youssef 178 to 164 in significant strikes, but Barboza 3 takedowns to 1. Before that, he KO'd Billy Q. So Barboza's a tough fighter at any point in time for any opponent. Now, Murphy goes to a lot of decisions, but he does have 2 KOs in the last 5 fights, all wins. KO wins over Makwana Mirkani and Ricardo Ramos. He went to a decision and won against Douglas Da Silva Andrade, Gabriel Santos, and Josh Kulabayo. So, this is why this fight is tough to predict. This is why Murphy is a slight favorite. Everyone knows that Barboza is capable of winning. But Murphy is undefeated, so how do you go against him? He's got that 1 draw on his record, but he's undefeated at 13-0. So I got no choice but to go with Murphy, even though I'm a big Edson Barboza fan. Said a while back I believe this guy could still win the title, but he's running into a very tough fight and a very worthy main event against Lerone Murphy, who I think is going to win this fight by decision. And it's going to be much like other fights. I mean, Barboza can strike, but Murphy can too, and he'll land takedowns when he needs to. He'll land them when he needs to, and it's very close fight, but Lerone Murphy wins by decision, which we've seen him do time and time again. So he'll get the win and move to 14-0, remain undefeated, in my opinion. Featherweight division, UFC Vegas 92. Yeah, so we're going to need Lerone Murphy to get the victory. And I won't be surprised one bit if Edson Barboza goes in there and KOs Murphy. I mean, Edson Barboza is a beast who's been around the game for a long time, and it's a very tough prediction. I mean, it's a very tough prediction, no matter how you look at it.
You're watching the TCMMA podcast. And now, back to your host, Chris Cross.
Welcome back. This is your boy Chris Cross. Checking back in. We are live. This is a TCMMA podcast. Main event is coming up right now. And it's going to be a minute because Lerone Murphy's making his way to the octagon now. We still got Edson Barboza. I mean, I guess the only good thing you can say is that they don't have far to walk. They're at the Apex Center. So I guess they're doing like a lap around the Apex and then working their way into the octagon. But this is a very underrated main event. I mean, I'm trying to tell you, Edson Barboza is the real deal, right? He loses fights, right? But he's the real deal. He always has been. And Lerone Murphy is unbeaten. I mean, this guy's 13-0. But we don't get to see him too often, right? It's like we see him once a year, it seems like. I mean, Lerone Murphy is one of the baddest dudes on the planet. We don't get to see him fight often. And I'm not prepared to go 5 rounds here of commentating, but I have a feeling we may see a 5-rounder, although both of these guys are capable of winning at any time. Edson Barboza is more likely to get a finish to me than, well, I guess I'm wrong. 7 wins by KO for Lerone Murphy. I didn't know he had 7 by KO. That's crazy. Seems to me like he goes to a lot of decisions. Tied for 3rd longest win streak in UFC featherweight division. You know. So he's doing his thing. Make no mistake about it. So Lerone Murphy, this isn't a guy that's like one of my favorite fighters, you know, but he very easily could be if he fought more. We just don't get to see him enough. And there's still a lot of questions like this fight right here. Because I look at Edson Barboza as a guy that can win against anybody at any given time. And if he can go in there and get a win, it would be impressive. But if he can go in here and dominate and get a finish, that's going to do a lot for his career. For sure. Herb Dean already in the octagon. Lerone Murphy's kind of dancing around. He's trying to stay loose. And this guy is fit, dude. Is this a featherweight fight? I mean, I know it is, but gosh, dude, Lerone Murphy looks like a freaking welterweight. It's hard to believe he's only, well, I mean, he's just 5'9", but he's built like a welterweight if he was 6'1", if he was 4 inches taller. Guy's got strong legs, big shoulders. I mean, he looks like he's got like 5% body fat. So Edson Barboza will make the walk now. He's getting ready to come out. Still don't see him yet, but there he is making the walk, doing the trip around the Apex, I believe. And he's going to walk into a crowd of like 200 people. And some of these main events now at the Apex, it's hard to believe some of these fighters you see walk into the octagon in like a front of a small crowd, intimate setting, smaller octagon. And, yeah, I mean, Edson Barboza is a guy that should be fighting in a pay-per-view event, and so should Lerone Murphy in the main card. But instead, they're fighting in front of 200 people, so it is what it is. And I'll tell you what, both of these guys are some big featherweights. I want to say welterweight because they look like welterweights. I mean, he's a big featherweight. And he's getting the mouthpiece put in. Of course, he's got the bright yellow shorts with green lettering representing Brazil. And this guy's 24-11. And certainly some fights he shouldn't have lost, but guy's impressive, dude. Most fight of the night awards in UFC history. Fight of the night. So he's been in some battles. Second most KOs by kick or knee in UFC history, 6. Fourth most knockdowns in UFC history, 16. So somebody's stats are not going to hold up here. I mean, unless this is going to be the fight of the night and a 5-round absolute battle, which will lead to a lot of takedowns, a lot of control time, some striking. You're going to see it all. I'll be very surprised if this fight finishes early, even though both guys are capable of finishing the fight early. It just seems like they're both too good. And just to catch you up on what's happening, number one, we've run off 8 straight fights tonight. Started out 0-3. We're now 8-3. On the year in the main event, we're 8-8. We've been battling back from when we were 4-7, which is a low point. We've won 4 of the last 5 to get back to 8-8. And we got Lerone Murphy winning this thing tonight, and we absolutely need this very badly. We got the week off next week. I don't want to be sitting around for 2 weeks down to 8-9, right? We want to be 9-8, and then we got Islam Makhachev versus Poirier. You know, we got Islam Makhachev. Not 100% on that either, because I know Poirier is going to be ready. So we got to have this one to take the edge off in a couple weeks. And both guys getting introduced right now. And all we're waiting for is this thing to kick off. So Herb Dean will be the ref. Bruce Buffer doing his thing as if he's in front of 20,000, but instead he's in front of 200. Both guys just pacing back and forth, not really even staring at each other, just looking very focused. And it's like it's that moment before a football game or any other sport where you got to sit around through the introductions and other things, and you just want to get the fight started. There is no national anthem because in most cases guys are from different countries. Yes, sir. Let's go, Lerone. Let's go, baby. He's fighting out of England. Edson Barboza from Brazil. Murphy is the favorite. He's 4-0 as a UFC favorite. And he's showing off some of the skill in front of the camera here. Lerone Murphy, a.k.a. The Miracle. And that man's looking for some water. Get this guy some water. Fighting out of Nova Friburgo, Brazil. Never heard of that. But, hey. He's number 12 in the division. And capable of making a run at any time. And can fight at the top level of the division. I mean, this is not a weak opponent by any means for Lerone Murphy and vice versa. Both guys walk to the center of the octagon and they're staring each other down. And we're getting ready to go. So, UFC Vegas 92, main event, featherweight division, Edson Barboza versus Lerone Murphy. 2 bad dudes. And all we can do is make the prediction for Murphy, but to tell you how this fight's actually going to go, I really can't. And here we go. There's no touching the gloves in this one. And the first round will tell us everything, because this is going to be a 5-round fight. You're going to get kind of a slow start here, or the opposite's going to happen. These guys are going to be like, we're not trying to go 5 rounds, and someone's getting finished. But be prepared, unfortunately, for 25 minutes. Both guys working the jab, both guys standing right-handed. And both guys really keeping a lot of distance right now. And a low kick there already by Barboza. Lerone Murphy looks at Herb Dean and says that was low. And he kind of readjusted himself. And they'll restart. And Barboza touches gloves with him and says, my bad. And here we go. Ooh. And a nice leg kick to the body there by Barboza. And a left jab by Murphy. And even if the low blow didn't really hurt, it's a good thing to look at the ref and stop it. It kind of lets the ref know there was a low blow. It lets Barboza know that the fight had to be stopped because he, it might make him think twice about landing leg kicks, right? Or if he lands another one, now you got a problem. So that's why Murphy does that when he probably really didn't need to 15 seconds. And the pace is picking up already. Lerone Murphy coming forward. First 90 seconds gone. But Barboza's not a guy who's keen on moving backwards. He's going to live with whatever happens. He's going to keep moving forward. He gets shoved back that time, but he's right back to moving forward. And this is like two wrecking balls coming at each other because neither guy really wants to back off. And Barboza a little bit of a height advantage. He's punching down slightly, but both guys low squatting, trying to keep their head off the center line, and a nice right there by Murphy. Ooh, and a nice body shot by Barboza. So Barboza's number 12, Murphy, is not ranked, and that's really because of the inactivity. Hasn't been tested at the highest level yet, but he's 13-0, and that's why it's a big opportunity for him. You're finally getting a contender. And you win this fight, you're 14-0, and you're top 12 in the division. And next thing you know, you're getting a high-level top 10 opponent. Problem is, Barboza is 12, but he's more like 6 or 7. And if we get to the end of the first round, we'll peek into the stats. But right now, it just seems to me like you got Murphy landing more head strikes. And you got Barboza trying to force him to keep the distance with the leg kicks, but they're not going to work. And Murphy's just tagging Barboza right now. And as soon as he takes a leg kick, he's going right in with the counter. And already he's got Barboza not in big trouble, but a little bit of trouble because he's just taking punches. And that's something you don't see a lot that you would think fighters will be working on, right? The low leg kicks have really taken over the sport. Guys that can't defend themselves have fallen. Good fighters, including like Conor McGregor, right, against Dustin Poirier. Those leg kicks will take over. But what Murphy's doing is as soon as he gets kicked, boom, he comes right back with the right hand. Right? So he's countering immediately off the leg kick. And so now Barboza hasn't landed a leg kick in a while. There's one, and boom. Murphy comes right in with a left and a right. And for the first time, Barboza got the better of him. But you can see Murphy's just timing it up. As soon as he gets kicked, he's coming in immediately. And it's forced Barboza to really kind of change what he's doing. So it's already taken Barboza out of his game plan. You can see it. Yeah, and head strikes 20-3 for Murphy. Unbelievable. It's Barboza 10-2 on leg strikes, but that's not going to get it done on the judges' scorecards at all. And Barboza having a little more success here in the final minute. He's starting to work the jab more. Didn't really abandon the leg kicks. Oh, Barboza goes down on a slip. Final 10 seconds, so he'll get out of the round. But not the way he wanted to end that round. And Murphy's really going to work on Barboza here. And that's the end of the round, and Barboza still was punching from his back at the end of the round, so hopefully for him, he's got everything straightened out. But Murphy, hard to believe, is dominate Edson Barboza right now after round 1. 27-18 in significant strikes, but the biggest stat is 24-6 in head strikes, right? So Barboza's landing, but it's leg kicks, body shots, which could be a problem, but it hasn't been for Murphy. Murphy's landing a lot more head strikes, so it's easy to say that he won the first round and is up 1-0. Yeah, let's see here. Nice up kick. Boom. Yeah, nice up kick by Barboza. And that definitely caught Murphy. Oh, boy. And I'll tell you what, he got caught with that up kick with like 2 or 3 seconds left in the round and went right down. He was on top of Barboza at that point. But showing the replays, it was as good as a punch. So we'll see if Murphy's affected by that spinning back kick to start the round. So no physical signs of anything here. Both fighters still look pretty good. And it's amazing. All the leg kicks Edson landed in the first 2 minutes, he's just completely abandoned them. And a nice right by Murphy as both these guys begin to open up. And it's just a big fight for Murphy if he can get the win. I mean, if it goes to a decision, you went to war, went to battle against a big-time fighter in the division, number 12, Edson Barboza, which will be fine. If you get a big finish, that's even better. But at the same time, these two are going at it right now. 110 gone. Big right by Barboza. Big right by Murphy. Oof. And it doesn't appear that when these guys take these strikes that it's really affecting them, right? I mean, you're seeing some big strikes landed. And both guys just continue to work through it. And this is a fight you'd love to see in front of a lot of fans. I mean, it's just a high-level fight. Boy, and look at Murphy, man. He's really getting after it. And other than an up kick to the nose, which you can see some signs of that, when you look at their faces, I mean, Murphy's dominating. And he's just outworking Edson Barboza. And here we go with a takedown attempt for Murphy. And that's surprising. And Edson wasn't expecting that. And is this what you really want to do with Edson Barboza when you're dominating on the feet? Right? You're up 32-9 in head strikes. Why do you want to go to the ground with a Brazilian? But Murphy believes in himself in this area as well. But I just say, hey, you're winning the fight on the feet. Why take a chance? But what do I know? Barboza shoves him off, and he's having problems with the right eye as he's wiping at it. Takes another left. And that's the thing, is Murphy is landing not only big shots with the right, but he's landing them with the jab as well. And Barboza's reeling right now. 140 left in round 2. Yeah, and Murphy's beginning to take over now. It's really becoming clear, and Barboza's having problems. As Murphy's just being aggressive, and Murphy knows he's in trouble. He's trying to make him pay. Lands a big right. And if he keeps the pressure on, he could finish this thing in the second round. Yeah. And it's unbelievable. Yeah, he's just winning every combination. Just winning. Just hitting first. Boom, lands a big right elbow. And Barboza is just reeling right now. He's trying to grab onto Murphy. He's starting to realize he falls looking for a spin kick. And don't fall for it, Murphy. Get off of him. Yeah. And Barboza's really struggling right now. And by pinning him up against the fence, you're just giving him time to breathe and get his bearings back. And I think this is a bad decision by Murphy. Even though Barboza went for a spinning back kick and just completely fell because he doesn't have his legs, doesn't mean that you need to go right in on him and look to gain control time. It's not going to do anything for you, and this really helps Barboza as Murphy does land 2 left strikes. And he's clearly dominating this fight. It's just a matter of if he's going to put him away or not. Yeah. And Barboza's not liking this, man. He's just taking strike after strike. And he's trying to jump around to get his legs back, but man, I don't know if I've seen anyone just beat Edson Barboza like this. This is a guy I told you 2 years ago could make a run for the title. And he's had some setbacks. He beats people he's supposed to. He's had some setbacks against really good fighters. But he's one of the better fighters in the featherweight division, and Lerone Murphy is just picking him apart. 68-30 in significant strikes. When you just look at head strikes, like a boxing match, basically, it's 57-9. I mean, it's just out of control. Murphy's just dominating. And if he just stays on the feet for like 2 or 3 straight minutes, his fight's going to be over. Bing. If you look at some of the replays here, big right by Murphy. A nice left-right combination. And right there is when Barboza was in trouble. And Murphy knew it. He tried to be aggressive. And Barboza fell trying to get a spinning back kick. And now, you know, and that's when he should have kept the pressure on. But Murphy's seeing it right now. It's just can he close the door? And I hope he can, because we need this win bad. And if he continues to land this right hand, Barboza is going to fall in this round, I guarantee it. He's a tough guy, though. He's been in a lot of big fights. He's not just going to give up. Oh, another big right by Murphy. And what it's starting to do is take the power away from Barboza, too. As he's keeping his hands up more, he's trying to protect himself, he's making his shoulders tired. He's taking away the power, and Murphy is just right in the zone. Yeah, and everybody weighing in via X is just saying how good Lerone Murphy looks. Someone saying 19-19. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, Lerone has just dominated both rounds. And he's just countering so well. Anytime there's a leg kick, he's on. Look at this. Let's go. Let's go, Lerone. Finish this thing. Gosh, and he goes into the body. Why, dude? You just landed a left and a right. You got him in trouble. Finish it. Stuff makes me crazy when they do this. You're dominating on the feet. Why are you going to give a guy time to breathe? Frustrating. Yeah, Lerone just leaning on him. He's landing some lefts here. But he is just breaking Barboza down to a point where it doesn't even seem like Barboza has the power or energy to get a finish. I mean, unless you just get caught. Big left by Murphy. He switches the left hand now. Barboza's still throwing leg kicks that are powerful. And Murphy's just all over the place. But certainly attacking with the head strikes at all times. And he goes in for another takedown. And again, you're just giving Edson opportunity to breathe. As he picks up Edson out, he's looking for the takedown. He gets it. And Barboza works back up. And maybe Murphy's starting to change the game plan a little bit now. As we get later into the third round, it's looking a lot like what Denver Garimbo did earlier in the night. But they separate down a big left-right combination. Barboza slips, and he's starting to lose his legs a little bit. Come on, Murphy, finish it. Oh, a big right hand. Gosh, Barboza's just taking it, dude. Spinning back kick to the body. And these are beginning to take an effect. Yep, and if you're Murphy, keep going. Come on. 90 seconds left in round 3, and it's going to be a long time for Barboza. There should be no reason to get into the body. And he's just picking Barboza apart. He comes in and tries to lean on him. Shove him off, Murphy. There you go. Shove him off. Dadgummit. Murphy's up 29-3 in this round. He's dominated every round in strikes. I mean, this is easily up 30-27 at the end of this round. And once again, Murphy's getting caught in the clinch when he should be separated and striking. Here we go. Final minute of the third round. Murphy's capable of getting the win here. He's just got to get the finish. Come on. Forget the decision. And now Barboza's on top of Murphy. So now Barboza's going to get the rest, dragging this fight out, and Murphy put himself in his position. It's unbelievable. Hey. Final 20 seconds, round 3. And Murphy just kind of gave Barboza time to rest, get his legs right, and now Barboza lands a big right. Spinning back kick by Murphy, followed by a left. And it's amazing that he's letting Barboza out of this round. I mean, it's just flat out amazing. Wow. Barboza's completely gassed. You got a guy on the ropes. And, you know, if you look at it like in boxing, when a guy's in trouble and he's like bear hugs you, and he holds on for 10 seconds and the ref breaks it up, and now you know what I mean? He's going to keep doing that because he's in trouble. And what Barboza is doing is the same thing. He's trying to get into the body of Murphy when he's in trouble and just hold on and maybe try to take the fight to the ground, or just a stalemate is giving Barboza time to breathe and keeping him in this fight. There's been 3 or 4 times where Murphy is on the verge of finishing this thing, and he falls for it every time. Now Murphy beginning to look tired. Barboza's been tired for 2 rounds. You know? And maybe Murphy's getting tired to the point where he doesn't want to go for the finish and take a chance at not getting it, but you can clearly see Barboza, after a left-right combination, was reeling. And here we go. We're into round 4. Somehow, some way. Murphy has dominated so far, 111-39 in significant strikes, 92-13 head strikes. I mean, it's sheer domination, but the fight is still going, so anything could happen. Boom, boom. Okay. Both these guys standing in the pocket trading now. You know it's just going to pick up. And we'll see if Murphy's got what it takes to get a finish here. That's going to be the big question. He's going to win this thing by decision if it goes that far. There's also the aspect of, you know, you don't want to take too many chances and get caught, right? When you're winning this big. But the fact of the matter is this guy should be looking to get the finish here in round 4. You know, you get to the final 2 or 3 minutes of round 5 and you want to grind out the clock, fine. And we got a time right now. Herb Dean warning Lerone Murphy about his fingers. You know, his fingers are sticking out. This has been a big thing with these gloves in the UFC. I know they're switching to new gloves. I don't know if that's happened yet, but I'll definitely look that up this week and figure it out and report back on the next podcast, because that was a big thing with the change in gloves that's coming. Barboza taking another left jab from Murphy. Both these guys standing righty versus righty. It was Murphy who switched to lefty for a few minutes and now has gone back. And maybe it's just a weak minute for Murphy, but it doesn't look like the dominating performance we saw in rounds 2 and 3, but he's still getting the better of Barboza, now landing some left jabs. And maybe he's just going to be content with running this clock now. 8 minutes left in the fight, 3 minutes left in this round. And guys are beginning to get tired. And it's amazing when you look at their faces that they're still able to go at this rate, right? I mean, it's just like, it's not as bad as you've seen in some other fights by any means. It's not even really that bad, but it's just clear that these guys have been in a fight, and they just continue to go at it at this level. A lot of striking going on. And Barboza lands a left-right. 2 minutes left, round 4. As Barboza dances around the outside, Lerone Murphy gives chase, and they're back in the center striking once again. And Murphy looks like at times like he wants to get the finish and get this thing over with, but it just hasn't happened. He hasn't been able to deliver on back-to-back punches, multiple combinations, things like that that will put the fight away. Barboza's doing a good enough job with a spinning back kick to the stomach. Nice. And even when Barboza's in trouble and fading, he's still capable of getting a finish, even though a round or two ago it didn't seem like that. That spinning back kick shows you that you got to be careful with Edson Barboza. Some nice jabs now by Murphy. I tell you what, Barboza's throwing though. Spinning back kick lands again. And this fight isn't tightening up, right? But Barboza's at least putting up a better challenge in this round than he did earlier. And I'm sure Murphy's getting tired as well. They both are. But the later this fight gets, as I said from the beginning, be ready for 25 minutes. It'll look like we may get a finish around 2 or 3, but this fight is definitely a little more even than it was in those last 2 rounds, as Barboza's looked a little bit better here. I mean, he's still getting dominated. I mean, it's still 50-20 in this round, but it's just at least Barboza's landing 20, right? He's only got 56 throughout the fight, so a little bit more of a pace here, but he's just taken too many strikes from Lerone Murphy, who's really showing right now how good he is, because he's going to, if he can continue to roll and win this fight, as there's only 5 minutes left now, it's the end of round 4. If he can continue to roll, he's going to jump into the top 12 or 13 in the division. He's going to be 14-0, and he's got 2 big names now to his resume, right? So he's, you start going up the ladder, and that's when things happen. That's when we really find out, right? That's why there's so much talk with Khamzat Chimaev right now, right? He's whooping people, and now he goes up in the rankings a little bit. It's looking a little tough against Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns, but that's just part of the journey to greatness. Is you're going to have some minor setbacks compared to what people thought. And I don't know what people thought about Lerone Murphy going into this fight, but I knew this was not going to be easy. Go back and listen to the prediction. Anything could happen, but it just seems like knowing Barboza, he's going to get outfought, outstruck in this fight, which is clearly what's going on. I mean, it's 178-58 in total strikes, 160-57 in significant strikes. It's just sheer domination by Lerone Murphy. But guess what? Barboza's still standing. He's still there. And we'll see how much will here Murphy has to continue to try to get the finish or to just grind out a victory. But you got to keep the pressure on Barboza. You can't. He's not a guy you can sit back and just grind out a normal victory. Like, you don't want to go for a takedown and be stuck on the ground with a high-level Brazilian, right? If you don't need to. You don't want to back off to striking, because then Barboza's going to smell that and he's going to come forward. So you got to continue to press, which means you got to take chances. Like right there, Murphy just took a big left, and now he gets into the body. A lot of time left here, 4 minutes. And you'll see this happen with a lot of fighters, right? They're dominating. They don't want to take chances. They want to get into the body in the clinch. But you don't want to do that with Barboza. So Murphy shoves off, lands a right elbow on the way out, and a big right by Murphy. Yeah, and as people are weighing in on X, Barboza's taken over 100 strikes, head strikes, and that's not good. Yeah, it's well over 100. That was after the fourth round, or in the fourth round. Right now it's at 143. So, Barboza's going to have to take a lot of time off not a lot of time off, but just really, just take some time off here because this is an absolute battle. It's just not a back and forth battle. It's a one-sided battle that Barboza's, on the negative side in this one. And Murphy just continues to touch him. Unbelievable. Left, right, left. Barboza responds with a left, right? Just enough to stay in the fight, but man. And it's like no matter how many times Murphy hits Barboza's just going to stand there and continue pressing forward. And he blocks a leg kick from Murphy. 2:15 left in the fight. You're just going to see this clock wind down now and Murphy cruise to victory. So you just got to play it smart here over the last 2 minutes. The decision is already an afterthought. And just the way Barboza's standing with his hands kind of clenched together, he's just tired, man. He's just tired. Doesn't have that same power, not even close, that he would have like in the first round. That spinning back kick is still there. Is now Murphy goes in for the big takedown. And man, look how tired Barboza is. I mean, it's just... And Murphy continues to pound away like he's definitely not letting up. And Barboza tries to grab the fence. I don't even think he realizes what he's doing at this point. It's kind of like just trying to stay out of trouble. And Murphy's looking to take the back here. 110 left in the fight. And although this is one-sided, I don't know what other fight would get fight of the night. I mean, Demba Gorimbo's fight went to a decision. That was one-sided. You got to go all the way back down to Magomedov and Warlley Alves, which was one-sided. I mean, I guess you might have to go back to fight one. The first fight of the night between Demopoulos and Ducote might be the fight of the night. That was a split decision. And every other fight's been a KO or a one-sided decision or submission. So as we approach the final 20 seconds, Murphy just continues to pull away. 195 to 73 in significant strikes, 217 to 74 in total strikes, head strikes 154 to 35, and he's just rolling to victory. I mean, this is dominant fashion. 4 takedowns to none, 520 of control, and Edson Barboza gives him a touch of the gloves, and Barboza takes a seat, and he realizes that he just got dominated, and it is what it is. But Lerone Murphy is going to win in dominant fashion. If you're going to beat a guy like Edson Barboza and get into the top 15, it's not a bad way to beat him. Not a bad way at all. But Lerone Murphy's going to dominate here by unanimous decision to move to 14-0, featherweight division, UFC Vegas 92. So that's the way it goes down. We finished the night on a 9-fight win streak. 9-3 on the night. After starting 0-3, we get 9 straight. We're back to 9-8 in the main event, and we'll obviously touch on all these things in the next podcast and break it all down. But we're rolling, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight was a big night. We're rolling once again. Thanks for watching the watch party. I hope you guys enjoyed a great day of fighting. You have Fury and Usyk, which if you didn't hear, Usyk won by split decision. So the heavyweight title is now in the hands of Usyk, undisputed heavyweight boxing champ. But that'll do it. It's your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day and God bless. As always, peace.